St. Anne's Staith, sliding her hand on the white metal railing that topped the stone walls of the quay. Small craft lay beached on the mud, some of them not much more than rowing boats with sails. Ropes thrummed, and flimsy metal masts rattled in the light breeze and flashed in the sun. Across the narrow estuary, the white houses seemed to be piled haphazardly beside and on top of one another. At the summit of the cliff stood St. Mary's Church, just as it had in one form or another since Abbot William de Percy built it between 1100 and 1125. The abbey beside it had been there even longer, but it had been crumbling away for over 400 years since Henry VIII dissolved the monasteries, and now there was nothing left but a sombre ruin. Martha felt a thrill at actually seeing these places she had only read about, and she also had a strange sense of coming home, a kind of déjà vu. Everything seemed so damn familiar and right. This was the place. Martha knew it. But she'd have plenty of time to explore East Cliff later, she decided, turning her attention back towards where she was going. The pubs, seafood stalls, and souvenir shops on her left gave way to amusement arcades and a Dracula museum, for it was here, in Whitby, where the celebrated Count was said to have landed. The road veered away from the harbour wall around a series of open sheds by the quayside, where the fish were auctioned before being shipped to processing plants. Obviously, the catch hadn't come in yet, as nothing was going on there at the moment. Martha knew she would have to come down here again and again and watch the men as they unloaded their fish into iced boxes and sold them. But like everything else, it could wait. Now she had made up her mind. She felt she had plenty of time. Attention to detail was important, and it would help overcome whatever fear and uncertainty remained within her. She stopped at a stall and bought a packet of shrimps, which she ate as she carried on walking. They sold whelks, winkles, and cockles too, but Martha never touched them. It was because of her mother, she realised. Every time the family had visited the seaside, usually Weston-super-Mare or Burnham-on-Sea, and Martha had wanted to try them, her mother had told her it was vulgar to eat such things. It was, too, she had always believed. What could be more vulgar than sticking a pin in the moist opening of a tiny conch-like shell and pulling out a creature as soft and slimy as snot? It wouldn't bother her now, though. She had changed. Her mother didn't know it, but she had. Now she could probably even rip apart a lobster and suck out the meat. But her mother's words still stuck in her mind. The more she thought about it, the more she realised that it was not so much the act itself that her mother thought vulgar, but its class associations. Only the lower classes went around at seaside resorts sticking pins in whelks and winkles. A bingo caller from one of the arcades interrupted her stream of thought. "All the fives, 55. Legs 11, number 11. The amplified voice echoed through the empty auction sheds. Martha passed the bandstand and took Khyber Pass up to Westcliff. At the top, she walked under the enormous whale's jawbone, set up like an archway into another world. It was a hot day, and by the time she had climbed the steep hill, she was sweating. She ran her hand along the smooth, warm, weather-darkened bone and shuddered. If this was just the jaw, how gigantic the creature must have been. A true leviathan. And as she passed under its shadow, she fancied she was like Jonah being vomited forth from its mouth. Or was she going the other way, entering the whale's belly? She could picture the old Sunday school illustrations of the Bible story. Inside, the whale had looked as vast and gloomy as a cathedral, with the ribs mimicking its vaulting. And there sat poor Jonah, all alone. She imagined how his cries must have echoed in all that space. But could there really be so much emptiness inside a whale? Wasn't it all a twisted...